Hello, IK here. Never end of explanation because never end of confusion in React, Redux, MySQL, Express MySQL. Here I would speak about slice, but not anyone concretely about slice, login slice, because in login slice we have this this traffic of data from database from Express coming user data, and it go to Redux store, and concretely in session. But when I refresh browser, uh, when I refresh browser, it means I turn off my application and turn on some reset. My application is again with same lodged user. It means that all component, when I refresh, when we reset, go to initial value, but login user, login reducer, login state don't go in initial. It means because we see welcome Fiona and lodged option that we can lodged off. User lodged user before restart, before refresh, not restart. Refresh lodged user after that, after refresh, stay lodged. How? In loginSlice, when our process is that process looking in here it is. Okay, we looking in session location, and if in session location is tank, process must decoded that tank. How that tank coming in session location when coming from database, and when would be decoded, user go in Redux, but coded tank go in a session. When we made refresh, at first look at in session, if token is in session, would be decoded. From session, there is no calling database, etc. But look at in session, token take from session, of course, if not, if time not expire, decoded that token and find user and put user in Redux again. Because of that, all component is initial value, but state, login state, is same in Redux as before refresh. Here, login, email, this is email, password Fiona, and login. After login, we have a customer component, with orders, possibility to see open orders, edit profile, edit addresses. And here, welcome Fiona Davis, logout. But now refresh F5, refresh, here it is. After refresh, we have again, welcome Fiona lodged. And that refresh, that state don't go to initial state like all other state, but that state stay, and we see it after refresh browser. F12. Here it is. Session storage in our browser, and in session storage is token. Here it is. Token. This token expired date. The time is 1 hour, and after 1 hour, it would be removed from. It would be expired from session storage. This token is look at click on token. Token is look at it is encrypted encryption of that token, and that token must be after refresh. Control does it in session? Yes, it is in session. Decoded it, and from decoded it, take user, decoded, and put in Redux. And also put in Redux, and when it is in Redux, welcome message by a use selector can take that value, login from Redux, and can set welcome Fiona. Also, navigation, user is in the navigation page, we see that role is customer, and navigate to customer. After refresh, if token is in storage, session storage, after refresh, we don't need again login process, but it is lodged like I now explained. From token in session, don't need process request to database, request user, etc. Don't need. This is front-end security. Token is in front-end, would be decoded from front-end, but better security. What I don't mean that it is for beginner and for my e-commerce that I need it, and because when you know understand this token front end, you will without problems ask artificial intelligence and understand creation of backend validation. It is front-end validation. Take from session storage, front-end in our browser, and validate and decode it. But backend would be go to backend. Backend is express. Go to backend and compare. In backend, there is an env file with security key. Compare that security key with security key what is in token. What is in token? It is very, very interesting. It means that session, this process with token, don't need save in the background all our basket, all what we buy, etc. And don't need that process like we know about session and cookie. But here, all is in application in backend, that security key, and this take token from front end would be open and decoded, and security would be in backend compare with existing security key in backend. That process happen in loginSlice. In loginSlice, we have a thank function. Thank function received, thank function request, and something from Express. Express ask it from by SQL language, ask it in database result, object result, send back to Express, and Express with result, with user, go to send user to thank function, and thank function put that user in store, in reducer, that user, and also go ahead and give it user login for navigate, customer or welcome message to take by a user selector, take user from Redux. Thank you. And it is okay. But when I refresh, yes, and put thank in session storage. Put now, if I refresh browser, process is opening thank from session storage, decoded thank, take user from it, and put it user in Redux again, because all state was initial after refresh, but state login we restore with the user which was login before refresh. And after refresh browser, we have lodged. How? Because thank exists in, if exist, in session storage, would be decoded, user take to put in Redux. And we have a same user lodged. Backend security means front-end session storage, front-end token, open, decoded, and compare with in backend, compare security key. Because in backend, in Express, we have security key. Take that security key and from front-end security key, decoded. If they are same, it's okay. And why backend is better? Because it is harder to access backend than it is front-end browser. Harder is access second and the data and from backend than from front-end. Why I didn't go ahead and give you backend security also, because it is not explanation, is what I said now, what I explain now. But process of creation is administration. You administrate it. Knowledge is what I said, that you compare security key in background, in Express, with the security key who is saved in Express. Security key from a token, from front end, from session storage. That security key compare in backend. It is knowledge, but process of coded it is ask artificial intelligence, and there is it is administration, and code this code on in the Express, and you have it. But I don't like administration, because administration today is different. Tomorrow is different. After tomorrow, again different. It is something changes, and it is a rule. It is excellent that we have artificial ChatGPT or other today, that we don't need again and again, like boilerplate, copy and copy for every of our application. Now it coded artificial, and we put copy it. Again, knowledge, it is not knowledge, it is administration. It is working by a rule what other created, not your rule. And the knowledge means that you code it by your knowledge. Administration is always do what other said to do. Okay, let's get see in that login slice. Login slice. A login slice. Here it is. Login.js, login slice. Login slice. I'm going here in the tank function. Tank function. Here it is. Login component and form, where we type email and password. From that form would be dispatched. That data would be dispatched like parameter of login user. And login user here is called. It is called. And login user, when called, use create asynchron tank function. Call create asynchron tank function, what coming with the Redux Toolkit. And here in parameter of that, most important for us in one direction is this request post to Express. Request post to this Express address. Here in credentials is email and password. And send to backend, that backend send query, SQL query to database. Database find that user, if user exists, and send back that user, all user data. That all data, if all is okay, if that you go here in this, we catch it with take it in variable response, and it would be, when we look at here, it would be tank and message, and we must that tank, and we return, look at return response data. It is a tank and message. We return coded tank token, coded token, and return response always when tank function, here it is, login user, tank function request something from backend, and if all is okay, receive data, return that data to extra reducer, extra reducer, extra reducer. Here it is. Fulfilled means action is always okay. And here, state is authenticated, put on true. It is, we decided. It is all is okay, is authenticated, okay. State user equal this function, extract user from token. Here is a token in payload. All what coming from the backend is payload and coming token and message. Message we don't need, don't use here. And we use token. Here is in payload object coming, there is a properties token. And the me extract from that token, this function extract from the user. We have a user. Here, when we look at what is inside, it is all data, name, delivering address, billing address, email, password, all is password hash encrypted. Complete data of user is would be visible here. And here we state token equal action payload token and error. We have 4 properties of object login in store. 4 properties. It is extra user token. It is authenticated. It is user. It is token, and it is error. After that, add case, and all this what we make equal. User go in reducer. All this go in would be object, but only of that object in reducer, object in store. But all of that object only user go to reducer. Only user go to reducer, and state of reducer is these 4 properties. But action user and existing user, actual user, would be interact. For example, initial user is empty array. Now coming login user, coming data of that, and from now user would not be empty array, but would be full of data of one logged user. And state would have 4 properties. State login is authenticated user, token, and error. But only user go in interaction through reducer. Okay, I must draw it to understand it. We said that we said for action that it is a poor object with 2 properties. One is payload, and other is the string of type of action. Concretely here, it is a type of action fulfilled, login user fulfilled. And when it is fulfilled, we know this would be happen. But this is a reducer. This is a payload. Uh, and look at action, state and action. State is a copy of state login. It is initial value, but action is payload. And when you look at payload what coming here have a token and message, encrypted token. It is payload what coming from database, from Express coming in time. But here, from that payload, we don't care about the message. We care a lot of about token. And from that payload, we don't take is authenticated. Is authenticated is property or login state, but is authenticated is here, only here. It is not in a token coming from, it is not part of payload. A user is encrypted in token, and we, by this function, extract user from token. Payload, there is a token, and here is a payload. Only have we use token of payload for user. We have user thanks to payload token, and we have a token thanks to payload token. And this error uh, would be payload if would be error. Now in fulfilled is not error. Here is in rejection. In rejection, error is payload, action payload. Now payload is token and message, and from token we take user, and from token from payload we take token, encrypted token, and all that is authenticated. Token, user, error, it is 4 properties go, and it is state. It is a new state. But in reducer, we always talk about, in this situation, it is user. In other situation, it is what coming from database. What coming from database. And from database, coming only user. And that user, for that user, we use a reducer. And all state, this is a complete state, is created in reducer without, we can say without reducer. It means that this state here is user, initial state of user, empty array. This action here is a payload what coming from database, and it's coming user, and the state, and this state is a copy of user. But where is user? User is in output of reducer, and it is part of object login. User is here together with is authenticated, together with the token, together with the error, and user here in this like parameter here in arrow function is a copy of user from output state. Output state, there is 4 properties. One of that is user. And that properties go in copy of that user, go in like parameter in reducer. This is state, parameter of reducer. And action is payload. Action is payload. And empty array and full of data array, result would be full of data array. It would be new user. New user is authenticated, is true. New user would be what we have from extract user from token. What we have, a token is token, encrypted token, and error is null. And all that for now, and the result of this now is a new state in output of reducer. But that state is object with 4 properties. But every properties can be accessed by use selector, separate access. We don't need access object, and inside that object, no, we access what of this we want. We want access user, use selector, etc. equal our local user in some component, equal by user selector is connected with the user parameter in state. State is output of 4 properties. State is object, output of reducer. Reducer is, and because the state is output of reducer, every reducer is a slice. How many? We call it slice. It is like slice, and every state, there is a own slice. How many state? Global state. So many slice. And the slice is all about state in Redux, and it is like this. It is very, very confused. And if you have asked, if you have question, or if you have a better explanation, not better, if you have your own explanation, it would be great to see in comments below a video. Okay, that finished. It means that payload from database is here, and payload from Express is user in token with security key and expired date token, and token is encrypted, and message and token. It is coming like response data, and that response data return, tank function return, down to extra reducer, and the extra reducer, you see here, extra reducer have input, state, and action, and here would be created a new state, and a new state is all this 4 properties, but something is authenticated. Is here we say equal true. It is not coming from Express. From database coming only user, and we extract it from payload token. Token like it, we take it from payload token, and error equal null. It is a new state down in output of reducer. Reducer is function, poor function, with the state and action with two input and one output. Because of that, it name it reducer. State action is input and output is a state. It means all this is output. Here it is. All this is output. And one object, it is state login. One object, there is four properties, but only properties. Only properties what we need here in action. In action, it is payload. Which payload? Payload here in action is only what coming from database. What coming from database? User. User, data of user. And it go to that action is payload. State, this state is user, copy of user. And result of copy of user and the new user in action here, there is interaction. Before it was empty array. That empty array here, we have a user, this user, state user, equal function action payload token. Extract user from take token, payload token. But state user is empty array. And we said explicit now that what was before not important, we said that state user equal payload extract user from token payload token. This we write like we write always in changing variable in programming. Very simple for us, but in React it is not like it. Must be copy of user. Must be copy of user and must be pushed to existing user, but existing user, copy of existing user, and the action is coming payload from full data array. And that full data array would be add to empty array. Empty array is copy of user. Okay. And it is immutable mutation. Immutable mutation, immutable way of changes, immutable way of changes, immutable way of change. It is excellent because I didn't see error. Long time passed that I have not error in React Redux, and I don't know about bug. I not meet any bug in last 3 years working with React. And it is because immutable way of mutation, immutable way. But here with the new version of Redux Toolkit, thanks to it, we have a library inside of Redux Toolkit, and that library take care about immutable way, immutable way of changes, and we can write like it is here, like it is here. Now I look at here, why state user equal extra user? Why there is no push? Push new user must be pushed to existing user. Like we see until now, I first time see that payload from database was without push here or some other operation. And of course, I have not idea here, and I ask artificial, and look at what I now know. Here it is. I ask it. A good question. The reason we don't use push or create a new array when assigning state user is because a state user is likely an object, not an array. Okay, it's all. That function extract user from create object, not array, and we have this equation directly state user equal new user from 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 token, because user is object not array. Okay, of course, IMER library is here. Yes, exactly. Since Redux Toolkit use IMER under the hood, you can write mutating code like state user equal, etc. But IMER behind the scene in the background create this copy state user, and here is a new user. Okay, but now I can see extract user from a token. But let I finish here. Payload what coming from database now is here in this user. But when I after this configuration finished with the Redux, finished with the state in Redux, and here it is. Here it is. After that, session storage set item method token put parameter of set item, again from action payload take token. It means it is order, it is command that session storage set item, and from now we have a token in session storage. And if I make refresh browser, processes look at find in session storage token, if find, and from that token decoded all that process what we see here, decoded token take user and put user in instead of in authentication, and we have and put user in Redux. But now I'm thinking about in a token is user, security key, and expiration time. React control expiration time, validate, and have a user. But okay, we have all process. and it must be that user must be put again in this put to extra. It happened in extra reducer here because token from session coming here, and all happened fulfilled state action, and all this happened again after refresh, and we have a new state with is authenticated true, but before is authenticated is false initial value. User was empty, now is full. Token is a token like it go in Redux also. And I somewhere discuss with artificial intelligence why we need token in Redux state, because we don't need that token in Redux because we use session storage and unpack token, use user from token, and here created is authenticated and error, but we don't need token. But um, I forget. Ask you, ChatGPT. Something said what is not important. Lot of it is about okay, security take, but without token in session storage, we cannot use token in Redux. Token in Redux. Okay, but okay, we have token here in Redux, and we have token in session session. Here it is not 1 hour expire, and after 1 hour it would be expire from here, would not be token. Okay. Okay, thanks to IMER library in background, what copy user and create all changes on the copy. I hope that this confusion is more clear to you, but only with repetition and repetition and repetition. And now you're not beginner. If you are looking in this video, you are not beginner. Now in this video, I work 3 years in React to coming in Redux to coming here in this video. So you, if look at in this video, and you can discuss with artificial intelligence, because you know for IMER from before, you know from IMER library, you know that always use push, and push, but the object there is no push. It is array what have push, and extract user from token, and this action payload create it would be object, and that object would not push, but directly equal, and that is possible only because IMER library in background what would create copy of user, and copy of existing, and it is empty array, and put new value would be that user what coming from database, and that new value how it would be created in background by IMER library not interested us, but we know that it would be immutable way, not now like our eyes and our coding here explicit state user equal right side, assign right side. No, directly existing user. That user must be copy. We change copy, and the result of that is new state user. But it is interesting that we have that persistent, that we have, because of that update, when you analyze this, you see initial value. But when coming, oh, here is a user null. User null, it means it is object. It is object. It is not empty array. It is a null. Token null, error null. It is initial value. And that null, there is no push. Push is a method of array. But null, our user is object. Here it is object. Here it is object. It is interesting that I don't know how I would be find the answer in time before artificial intelligence. I ask Google or Stack Overflow and waiting, and how many times I need to have answer to my question, why user here is null, why user here is not array, like always until now. What coming from database always was array, articles, departments, orders details, user table, where we have user list. But here user is null. User is null. And look at 1 second, go and ask it, and response is user null means user is expected to be an object. An object, like you see in curly brackets, ID, name, email, etc. If it were user array, that would suggest user is an array implying multiple user. It means it is object because it is only one user. More user, array means more user. Every user is one members of array. Here is a null, no user log. Okay, but empty array also no user log. But user expected to be an object. Object. You're right. Most database return user data as an array of object, even when fetching a single user. Okay, I must control what Express send back, but here is on my question, good observation. The reason user is initially null instead of array, empty array, is because user represents single authenticated user, not a list of user. Not a list of user. It means that if it would array, it would have only one member, and that members is object. There is a lot of properties. Yes, it is. It is how we look at in it. It cannot be array. It means what would be array? if we have array, it would be only one members, and that one members would be object user in that array. And don't need array. It can be without array. Can be object. Can be object. Okay, let's see what we can see. Reason is that it is one user, not a lot of users, that it is one user, and it is because of that is object. Because of that is object. I can look at in extract. Here it is. Look at return. Curly brackets. And in curly brackets is pair name of properties value. It is a poor object, plain object. We call this coding play curly brackets, and we coded all properties. Name of properties, name, columns, right side, value of that properties. And I said or, logical or, null. Again, we use here null, logical null. If there is nothing here, it would be empty. There is a no it value would be null, and would not be error, unquote error. Unquote error means stop program. On the screen is a black screen, and in that black screen for user is hieroglyph. And etc. Name, email, role, here it is. Here it is decoded. Decoded give us object. Give us object. JSON parser. And of course, it is part of that extra user taken form, and it is return. You see, we return object, curly brackets, and here is object finished with curly brackets. And that return, that function return object, we look at now that object, and here in initial value it is also object because we know what we do. And see how I learn React. At first, before 3 years ago, I finished Coursera, in Coursera course, but I'm not satisfied. It is, I finished it okay, but I don't understand. I don't thinking. I have not critical thinking. I only solve all tasks, read all, and I have application, but I don't ask myself. It was like first scanning of that React. And after that, I start step by step with original documentation. That original documentation, it is react.org or react.com web address. And that original documentation for me was excellent. There is no explanation. There is a crude create, read, update, delete operation. And I learned it, but learn it, and I understand from that short explanation in original documentation was good for me. It is interesting. I have not question. And I give only Google and Stack Overflow but I don't remember any question outside of that original. And last 2 years, I spoke about last 3 years. It was 1 year my learning in practicing React, and after that coming artificial last two years, and my learning is excellent. You see now how artificial respond me, and now I look at uh, because I always have what coming from database. I have array. Now I have user is no, and you see how artificial excellent explain me. But to use artificial, you must have question. You must have question, and if you have question, you are immediately understand the answer. Immediately, you have not a long explanation when you know question. You know that phrase that question is almost answer. Every question is almost answer. And if you have question, you use artificial intelligence. And you see process. And now I know it, and my practice go ahead. I something more, I something new learn now, and I develop e-commerce, and in that developing from zero, from CRUD. At first, I learn good CRUD, create, read, update, delete, and what is uh, what is e-commerce? What is any application? It is aggregate CRUD, CRUD coding, and CRUD coding I understand, and I said artificial create CRUD for departments table, for articles, for users, for orders, etc. And I have all that CRUD created. It was admin part of e-commerce, but in public part, I have this login. Interesting. I have login where, and I have not all admin situation, but I have update form. I use update form also here in customer component when lodged user can see, can update open profile, etc. And so you learn how you like, how you want to somebody learn step by step at first JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and it is excellent. I also learned separate HTML, CSS long times ago, and in that time was PHP, JavaScript, vanilla, and now for me is the best learn is like application. And e-commerce is excellent because I made e-commerce in PHP MySQL, and now I know MySQL, I know HTML, CSS, and I know what I do in what I need in a PHP, MySQL e-commerce, and now I work in React, have my practice work same e-commerce produce in React Redux, React Redux, React Redux Express MySQL. Okay, it is. You see, artificial coded it, and I analyze that coding, and I need a lot of time to explain it. And if I have not feedback from you, I don't know. Does it my explanation understandable? Understandable. Okay. But all this video is my preparation for book, and thinking about book, and I am very near to start write book about e-commerce. Now I thinking about payment and shipping channel for my e-commerce, and I stop that because e-commerce there is no limited. Maybe after book I would continue to work with e-commerce with a lot of course I want payment, shipment, and analytics. Analytics, it is analytics, and to see what artificial intelligence can help me in that, help e-commerce owner of e-commerce help artificial intelligence and but analytics with SQL query, no problem. I produce it with graph, experiment with graph, React, use some chart, and that created all that SQL query about orders. Because of that, my delivery address, there is a zip code, there is a city separate input that I can query and ask rank list income for towns, for zip code, for country, for state, etc. It's all for this video. Thank you for watching this video.